Basically, within GroupM, we're the business that works with data and technology to target audiences at scale. So the agencies brief us on audiences, and then we help them reach those across multiple platforms, multiple different types of inventory. If I was to think about something that's really changed in our business this year, I would say it is probably that this has been the year that video has become, has really had a watershed moment in a lot of ways. Over half of our business this year has been targeted video across the region. I would also say that this is the year where it's been a year of huge expansion for us. I mean, it's not so much in the business, but we've grown to 17 markets now across the region. We've started our Asia Pacific business this year, which has gone from no markets to 9 markets very quickly. So, we've been expanding geographically, and we've been expanding also across different types of products and platforms and channels.
In the marketplace for ad tech vendors, it seems to me that historically we had specialist vendors. You had a DSP, a DMP, and so on. I think this year we've evolved to a situation where they're all claiming to be full stack, they're all claiming to be end-to-end, and it's become fairly hard for a client to differentiate who is who. Do you think that the data that these companies can bring to their clients' offerings, has that become the new battleground?
I think it's a really interesting area and a really great question, actually. And the answer is very, very complicated, truth be told. But if I think about the Xaxis business, the reason why we've created the business we have within GroupM and within WPP is because we're as frustrated about the confusion and the sort of preponderance of different solutions all claiming to do the same thing in the market. There's a huge amount of value leakage. There's also a huge amount of data leakage. And clients and publishers both are increasingly concerned about how their data is being managed, and both are increasingly concerned about how $1 invested on one side ends up $1 spent on the other side. And so the reason why we've created Xaxis the way we have is because we're a focal point for the right kinds of data, the right kinds of publishers in their inventory, the right kinds of value-added solutions and tech vendors, not on a standalone basis where they get briefed on a piece of a campaign, but really deeply integrating them into our technology stack. And most importantly, the differentiating point for Xaxis in all of that, other than the data and the inventory, is the fact that of all the holding companies, we're the only ones, WPP are the only ones that have invested in our own technology. And that 24/7 team allows us to build those parts of the technology stack which are so important for our business, namely the DMP, but also to partner and evaluate and then integrate some of those companies that you were talking about very deeply within our own technology stack. So that gets around the problem in a way. It's no longer about our agency briefing ad tech companies as if they were a media vendor, which is kind of the attitude they go into it with. They're experts at navigating the options when it comes to media. And it's incorrect for them to navigate or to engage with ad tech providers as if they were media vendors and put multiple ad tech companies on a media plan. It doesn't make sense. So it needs to run through a focal point, and that's what Xaxis does.
So it seems like use of data is the new oil, has become like the dominant narrative in advertising at the moment. The rise of the maths men versus the the madmen, as it's called. So what's the space for creativity or storytelling anymore in this new world?
So I think data's become the topic for a good reason. I think data's actually been the topic for a very, very, very long time. It's just that people haven't really known or had the tools to really leverage that data and create value from it. I still find the term big data infuriating. It sort of implies that data is the end game, as opposed to a path or a contributor to a more valuable conversation with your potential user or audience or client, whatever you may be. The role of that data in the creative piece is amazing, potentially, as long as we get away from the obsession with big data, because big data is all about the what are people doing, and I assure you there's only one group of people who care less about a click than we do, and that's creative people. If you go to a creative with briefs and say, hey, people are clicking on this, not that, they're not interested in that. They're interested in richness and depth and emotion and why people are doing what they're doing. So if we're going to crack this engagement with storytelling, which is what creatives are really interested in, the data has a role in telling that story. What are we saying to people when? If people have done X, do they do Y next or Z next? Or do we show them Y or Z? Whatever. The sort of sequential storytelling aspect, fueled by the right kind of data, is a huge opportunity for our industry. But to do that, we need to reconnect the media with the creative in a non-linear way. Right now we receive the creative and we put it in a media plan. Right? This requires a dialogue, which is where WPP's horizontality becomes so important.
Right.
The whole point is to try and leverage a much more sort of an iterative process between the media, actually not just media, but in this case media and creative agencies.